takes a minute, so I'm clicking go live. It takes a minute. We're going live. And let's see. We are live. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to MUFON Canada's YouTube channel. Today we are doing our first ever live broadcast, and we've chosen the subject of the Roswell of Brazil. This is all based on the documentary from James Fox, which we want everybody, and we're encouraging everybody to go watch. It's called Moment of Contact. We also have a panel of investigators here who are well versed on this Roswell of Brazil. I'm going to keep calling that. This is an incredible secret that was kept for many, many years, and we're going to be talking about not only the incident itself, but we're going to be talking about the documentary that James has produced. We have a special guest who's really trying to get logged into here. He's having a lot of problems. Paccaccini, who's the original investigator, and hopefully he can join us, and we'll just keep our fingers crossed. Anyways, my name is Dave Palachuk. I am the National Director of MUFON Canada. For those who do not know who MUFON is the world's largest and oldest investigative body of UFO, UAPs, submerged, you name it. If it's got to do with the UFO phenomenon, MUFON is on top of it. We have over 600 investigators around the world, and MUFON is now 52 years old. So when I said it's the world's oldest and largest, that pretty well sums it up. MUFON is not a government agency. It's not sponsored by anybody other than private people. And in Canada, we have about 50 investigators who are highly skilled and trained. And we're joining 3 of them today, plus James and Paccaccini, if he gets on. So at this point, I'd like to also let everybody know this is sponsored today by MUFON Canada and CIFE. And to explain who CIFE is, I'm going to introduce now Fernanda Perez, if she would please explain what that information, or what that body is. CIFE. Thanks, Fernanda. You're muted. Sorry. This is live, folks. You're muted. Unmute.
There we go. So, yeah, thank you very much, Dave. CIFE means Scientific Channel of UFOs Phenomena, and space research. I am the founder. So we also do field investigations. We produce articles on ufologies, astronomy, archaeology subject. And CIFE was the one producing also our banner.
Fantastic. Okay, so thank you. Fernanda, please also explain what you do and what you're part of.
Yeah, I became a MUFON field investigator in 2020 or 21.
20.
I think. Yeah, it's, only, yes. And yeah, it's, I'm very happy to be part of MUFON. It was a big achievement to be part of MUFON, so yeah.
Thank you. Glad to have you here. Next on the roster, I'm going to introduce our Assistant National Director, Eric Tessier. If you'd please just say hello and give a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm with MUFON since 2016, so it's roughly a 6 year now. I'm investigating with MUFON Canada. I'm the star team in the province of Quebec, so if something happened live in the province, so I'm the one on the boots on the ground that goes right away. I'm part of the ERT team. It's the experiencer research team that helps contactees that add connection with entities with aliens. So that's my job in the MUFON Canada.
Thank you. And next we have a special investigator. Kevin, please introduce yourself.
Hello, Howard. I'm Kevin Luengo. I'm a field investigator since for MUFON since 2 years in 2020. And ERT team for contactee help. I help to contactee witness, and that's it. Sorry for the English. It's not my first language. I'm trying.
You do very well. Kevin is one of our main field investigators for French-speaking Canadians, and he also helps with MUFON France once in a while, and as he said, he's part of the ERT team. Next, James Fox, producer, director of Moment of Contact. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, my name's James Fox, and as you just said, I'm the producer and director of Moment of Contact, which is largely considered the Roswell of Brazil. I was making, this is my 6th film on the topic of UFOs, 5.5. I was making my 2nd documentary in the late 90s called Out of the Blue when I heard about this case. But it was so unbelievable that you could have a crash and reportedly live creatures, beings, entities walking through the town and being captured. It just seemed too out there. So I avoided this case for about 11 years after I heard about it. And of course, here I am now, about 12 years after that. And we made a movie. We made a movie on it with the help of Marco Leal, a number of people, Brazilian researchers in the field. Fernanda was very, very helpful during production in Brazil last year, and it's been out. So yeah, that's my story.
Oh, thank you. And we're going to be asking you a lot of questions. And welcome, Pacchini. You've successfully joined us. This is fantastic. Would you please, he's one of the original investigators back when the incident happened, so please introduce yourself.
Okay. Good afternoon, my friends. Here in Brazil now, it's afternoon. Can you hear me?
Absolutely perfect.
Oh, okay. I'm so happy to be here with you. I'm very honored. And I thank you for the invitation. I am Vittorio Pacchini. And since 1996, I've been involved with this UFO investigation. It was a huge research. I had the chance to speak to James Fox and Fernanda Pires. They are now not only my colleagues, but my friends, and have explained many details of our research. And even before 1996, I was part of this huge UFO field investigation in Brazil, which is CIFE, Centro de Investigação Civil de Objetos Aéreos Não Identificados. So I had hundreds of field expeditions before the Varginha incident. And here I am with you right now. It's a pleasure. Let's move on.
Thank you for joining us. I'm so glad you were successful in getting in. So I'm going to start this off by asking Kevin. He has, to start, he has a couple questions for James. We're going to start with the documentary itself. So Kevin, the floor is yours.
Thank you. For beginning, congratulations for your movies. It's very amazing. It's fantastic film. it's very, very emotional. Very, I touched me testimony of Carlos de Souza. For James, one question: what was the atmosphere like during this shooting in Virginia?
What was the atmosphere like during what?
In Virginia.
You mean during production for us?
When you were shooting the movie?
I think there's a, it's almost like an acceptance from what I could see and hear. As soon as you scratch the surface, it's met with a high level of curiosity, and most residents, as soon as you breach the topic, will say that they, either know someone or a friend of a friend, or their cousin or brother or sister or daughter or father, heard something, saw something. It's amazing how many people in the town of Varginha have a little piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, there's so much to talk about this case, huh? It's like, it's endless.
Yeah. Marco Leal, my producing partner, he's been on this case, I think, since obviously Peccaccini's been on it the longest. Thank God for the work he's done. But Marco heard about a doctor who had allegedly taken the X-rays through some former students, and they had met with Marco and indicated, yeah, this doctor told us in one of our classes that he was involved, and Marco tracked him down and took about 8 years to get him to come forward. And there's a little mini story behind every person that we tracked down to get them to ultimately convince them to participate in the film. I think, Peccaccini, you had told me, because we were threatened to be shot by a gentleman, Eric Lopes. And Peccaccini, I think you said that he, back in 1996, didn't want you anywhere near him. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. You had the chance to be face to face with Eric Lopes. And he was, at that night, January the 20th, with Marco Elixerezi, when they captured one of the creatures. You've been face to face with him, and you could realize how difficult it is to talk to witnesses, especially the military ones, because Eric Lopes was working for the military police at that time. It's important to explain to our friends in Canada. By the way, I love Canada. I've been in Canada some years ago. I've been in Montreal, Quebec. Je suis québécoise. And also I've been in Toronto and Vancouver. Just a wonderful country, okay? I'm counting the time to be back in Canada again. But the point is that it's important to explain to our colleagues in Canada that in Brazil, we have two different polices. We have the civil police and the military police, okay? It sounds weird, but that's the way it is. And one police, it's kind of independent from another. Civil police, it's like the FBI in the United States, for example. And the military police is the ones that when you call 911, for example, in Brazil, it's 191. They are the first one to arrive to solve the problem. Eric Lopes and Marco Elixerezi used to work for the military police, okay? And James Fox and our friend and colleague, Fernanda, were face to face with Eric Lopes. and he refused to speak to them. Also, he made a death threat. If you don't get out of here, I'm going to use my gun. I remember in the documentary, Fernanda's face at that moment, because she was in shock. And it took her some milliseconds to inform James what was really going on. Because Fernanda was in shock when Eric Lopez was in that window, pretending to be somebody else. And all of a sudden, if you don't get out of here right now, I'm going to use my gun. It took Fernanda some milliseconds to explain to James. And James was there. Oh, what? Is he Eric Lopez? What's going on? What did he say? And all of a sudden, Fernanda translated what he said is, let's get out of here, because bullets are going to start flying everywhere. So, see, Fernanda, James, and the other people from the crew had the chance to realize how difficult it is to actually speak to witnesses. And of course, not only Eric Lopez, but the other militaries, they don't want to see me. The ones, they are not my friends, because of course, I could get some friends in the military forces to help me. Eric Lopez was not one of them. It was a hard time for James and Fernanda.
Yeah, everybody asking me this question all the time, like, were you afraid? But I didn't have the time to think, you know, of anything. Like, I was in the middle of something, like I was trying to talk to James and Romulo at the same time, and I was trying to understand what Lopez was saying. I could not understand nothing. And on top of that, he was introducing himself as Lopez's friend. It was very confusing. I wasn't afraid because I could not understand what was happening. And Romulo was also trying to explain something for us and talking to him, everybody talking all the same time. And so suddenly he said, I am Lopez. So everybody was like, James was like, is it Lopez? And like, you know, we could not believe it. So then Romulo said, no, let's go because this is not good. So we left. So yeah, it took us like a couple of minutes to understand what happened.
You know, I remember, because I don't speak Portuguese, I do speak French, so I can pick words out and I have an idea of what's going on. But this time in particular, everything, as you said, was happening so quickly. There were 3 people talking simultaneously. The level, the atmosphere was tense, very tense. And I could see this man's face, and I'd never seen a face quite like it. It looked like a face of a person who's been burdened with a deep, dark secret for decades. And you could see it in his face. It was extraordinary. And I remember looking into his eyes and just thinking, I've never seen a face quite like this. It was very, very tense. And there's a part of me that honestly believes that there's a part of him that wants to tell the truth, but he just is holding back. And I can't imagine what the authorities, the military, must have said to Eric Lopez to keep him in hiding and to keep him quiet for 26 years.
Interesting. Wow. All right, let's jump in here for another couple questions. Eric, who do you have a question for?
The question, me too. Congrats for the documentary. Same as Kevin, the part with Carlos de Souza was the best for me in the movie. So I watched it with my girlfriend, and that part when you found the right spot of the crash, the emotion of the guy was unbelievable. That's we watched it a bit again yesterday, and I was talking with Fernanda. I said I'm watching the colors part, and for me it's the best. You see in his eyes that he had a relief that we found the spot. That's where I was. I was very incredible for me.
Well, there has been some controversy around Carlos de Souza. I don't think that every single researcher out there believes every aspect of what he's saying. But when we were in the field with Carlos and we spent weeks with him, we said we don't need a Brad Pitt or Leonardo DiCaprio if this man is lying, because he's a very, very award-winning, actor.
Yeah, it was for me. It was very truthful, and if he was faking, this guy needs an award for sure.
Yes, exactly.
It was the best thing.
Well, the nice thing, I'll say one thing quickly, is that when we met with Military X, okay, Military X confirmed for us that the rumors at the base indicate that it all started at the Maiolini farm. And when Carlos came to Vermont while we were editing the movie, I played that section of the interview for him with Military X, and he cried. He said he'd been waiting 26 years for that validation.
Yeah, a lot of witnesses are like that. They don't speak, and when they start, it's a relief for them. It's a big relief, and for him having that for 26 years must have been a burden for him for sure.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And Paccaccini, I mean, you disappeared for what, 18 years almost?
Yes. I had a lot of business to take care of because my life was completely stopped for over 3 years in South Minas Gerais state. My work, everything, it was like nothing, okay? Living on my savings. So I did a lot of research, and in a certain point, we had this enough informations, so somebody else could carry on. Because I couldn't stay forever running after witnesses with no work at all. I had, even my girlfriend at that time, she said, goodbye, I can't take it no more. But let me give you a piece of information, since you mentioned Military Acts. Okay, in 1996, I wrote my book, Incidente em Varginha. Oh, by the way, this name that you see on the screen, Vitor Paz, is just a nickname, okay? I used to not to draw too much attention some time ago, and it's still here in my Skype. Okay, this is my book. Military Acts, that's him right here, because I got to know him. That's me with Military Acts, okay, in 1996, because I got all the military witnesses. They all came from me, and I will explain you everything. That's him right here. I blurred his face. I have been protecting everybody, all my military and civilian witnesses since the very beginning, okay? So that's here. What is important now to let you know is Carlos de Souza has this important information to add to our research, but he's not the only one. Maiolini Farm, it's not exactly the only place we know that the spacecraft, this one here, that looks like a flying submarine, because it has this dome, right? It's all metallic, okay? This is not glass, but it looks like a submarine. The Myolini farm, it's not the only place where this UFO had touched the ground. We have other informations, but also we have something very interesting right here. Fernanda and James Fox got to know Nier, Nadeia. Remember Nier? He's in the documentary.
Yeah.
From Princesa do Sul TV station. I know, and Nier also know, that there is a small fragment of that UFO in Varginha. We know where it is. As much as I know where pictures and videos of these creatures are in Varginha. As you know, most of the times when people see the militaries performing some sweeping like they did near the Myolini farm, there's always somebody sniffing around, even by far distance. When the military left the place, some curious people went there to sniff around, and they could find a small fragment of this UFO. Can you imagine? A fragment of a spacecraft from another planet, another system, another galaxy, who knows? It's in Varginha. It's in a safe. Nier, okay? This gentleman here from Princesa do Sul TV station, Nier knows it. I know it. We're going to be 27 years. We're going to have 27 years of this research. And it is there. I have been trying to put my hands in this fragment as much as in pictures and videos. But it is so difficult. Fernanda and James have been face to face with Eric Lopes, and they realize how difficult it is. So put yourselves in my place, in my position. I have been asking and asking for 27 years, and people are still afraid. It's just amazing. It looks like a horror movie. It's not comprehensible. How come 27 years later, civilian people are still afraid? But that's the way it is. So we send messengers to talk to them, because I'm not allowed to look for them anymore. They don't want me to call them. And of course, I've been monitored, okay? My phones, my email, I cannot call anyone and talk to anyone on the phone. So I send people as messengers, okay? They don't want to see any of my messengers anymore. They say, please don't even come to my street. Don't look for me in my workplace. Just leave me alone. My father doesn't want to be part of it. My mother, my brother, my uncles, and that's the answer I get. So Carlos de Souza gave his testimony. It's very impressive, okay? And possibly a little fragment of Myolini farm, because I didn't have the chance to put my hands on this fragment and take it to the university. I have access to universities in Brazil and abroad where I can test this little fragment. But I'm almost sure that this fragment is really part of the spacecraft. And I can't do anything because they don't let me do anything. Even pictures and videos inside Varginha as a big puzzle. It's not in only one place, okay? It's spread in Varginha because the creature had been in two hospitals, Regional Hospital and Humanitas Hospital. Of course, people took pictures and filmed these creatures. We know it. So can you imagine, put yourselves, once again, I say put yourselves in my position, knowing about all of this and not being able to grab these evidence and bring it to public. So this is part of the research that I wanted to share with you.
That's
Yeah.
that's unfortunate. James, did you find the same problem when you were out interviewing the people during the documentary that Paccaccini found? But of course, his big time change. What did you find?
I can tell you that we came about as close to some evidence as anyone's ever gotten. But unfortunately, 1 or 2 days prior to this meeting, the military base ESA started calling the people that we had just met with or the people that we were about to meet with and terrified them.
So that's still going on.
That's how close we got. It's almost like they knew our movements. They were listening to us, monitoring us. And as soon as we reached out to those people, the military base called them to remind them, you know, and it was kind of spooky, the stuff, the way the messages they relayed was like, hey, are you still living at this address? How's the family? You know, these types of things. Not like, hey, if you talk, we'll kill you. Just spooky, more spooky.
Intimidation by knowing where they are and they could be reached. Yeah.
Yeah, just like we're watching you, we're listening to you, we're monitoring you.
Hey, say guys, it's the old Men in Black scenario.
Well, these guys were at the military base as of from what we were told. So, but yeah. So I mean, to say that it's frustrating would be probably the world's biggest understatement. But you can't give up trying just because it's incredibly difficult.
Mm-hmm. Super.
Go
ahead.
Paccaccini had, Paccaccini, you had the opportunity in 2012 to see 36 seconds of filmed footage of one of the live entities. Yes?
Well, there it is.
Can you talk about that?
Okay. This good friend of mine, because even before starting the investigation in Varginha, I made some phone calls, okay, because I was at that time living and working in Belo Horizonte, beautiful horizon. It's the capital of Minas Gerais state. It's quite a big state. Minas Gerais is big as France. So I was in Belo Horizonte, the capital. And even from Belo Horizonte, I made some phone calls, okay, contacting friends, longtime friends, since I was a child, because I spent part of my childhood in Três Corações City, Three Hearts City. Three Hearts is the city where the famous soccer player, the king of soccer, Pelé, the athlete of the century, was born. Três Corações, Three Hearts. My father and mother were doctors, and they were working there at that time, and since I was a child. So I made a lot of friends. Some of them, in 1996, were working on ESA, Escola de Sargento das Armas, okay, the Army School. It's a huge place. They have more than 5,000 militaries inside that battalion. So some of my friends, longtime friends, were militaries at that time, okay? And let me tell you, officials, okay? So I asked for some of my friends for help. That's why I had access to a lot of military information, secret information, since 1996. But in 2012, one of these good friends of mine sent a messenger to meet me, to say, I got a video. I was not allowed to give you this video. Okay? It's 35 seconds video. Would you like to watch it? Yes or no? I said, yes, of course, yes. So we had this agenda, a specific place and time. I went there, and right there, he opened this notebook, okay? And the creature was in a place very much like this. It was not a hospital. It looked more like an office, okay? In some military facility. You see here, there's an apple. There's a piece of apple. They are holding the creature, very weak. For me, it was about to die, but it was still alive. They were holding the creature, trying to make it stand up, but he couldn't stand up. It was too weak. But you could see this little luminescent eyes activated. It had some little light coming out from its eyes. They tried to give it a piece of fruit, like an apple. I recognize a piece of banana, and this green leaf, that it was a piece of lettuce. Finally, they tried to give it some water, and the creature didn't accept any of it. So for me, this was inside ESA before going to Unicamp University at Campinas City, São Paulo State, or it was inside Unicamp, because this creature could barely stand up. And for me, it was about to die. So it was not an authorized operation. Some militaries knew that this creature was going to disappear, okay, going to the United States as he went. So they organized this action, non-authorized action, and they filmed this creature. I had access to 35 seconds, which is exactly this video, in 2012. It was amazing. It was worth my whole research, if I can put it this way.
That's fascinating. I got a question for the whole panel. Does anybody have any knowledge that the U.S. military also was involved in this at the time of the incident? Were they invited down, or did they participate in the background? Anybody have an answer?
I can answer, but Paccaccini, why don't you answer first, and then I'll.
Okay.
I mean,
my friends and colleagues, the American government is involved up to their necks in this operation, because Brazil and United States have been working together on this UFO issue for decades. Okay, we have lots of evidence of that. The American government, the American militaries, informed the Brazilian Air Force that this object was coming down, because they intercept this object. But what object? This flying submarine in which these creatures were set loose, okay, in Varginha, South Minas Gerais state. So it was the American militaries who alerted the Brazilian Air Force, and all of a sudden, the radars in Brazil were capturing that point coming down, you know, with the adequate coordinates. They knew longitude, latitude, where he was going, and he was going to South Minas Gerais. So who was at that time the major military power to take care of the situation? It was the ESA, Escola de Sargento das Armas, Infantry. Okay, they have tanks. It's the best sergeant school in the whole South America. It's huge. And besides that I know straight from military friends who had informed me. But American militaries were seen inside ESA because there were helicopters landing and taking off. We have witnesses who saw Americans disembarking from these helicopters. They were working together. And finally, the Brazilian militaries handed over for the American militaries in Campinas Airport, Viracopos Airport, Campinas City, São Paulo State. They handed it over to the American militaries and they took it away from Brazil. So we know definitely the American militaries are involved and they work together. They even invaded a little bit of Brazilian airspace, okay, to intercept this UFO.
Thank you. Wow. James, did you find the same thing, or did you find any proof? Because I can't find any documents anywhere in the U.S. government regarding this.
Well, what I found was that every military person that we met with all said with 100% certainty that the Americans came in. And then while we were in Brazil, a video of a, I guess it was a podcast of sorts, of one of the Brazilian flight control officers who confirmed that a United States Air Force plane came in on or around the 20th or the 21st of January 1996 and landed in Campinas without the authorization of the Brazilian government.
Ouch.
Yes.
Wow. All right, thanks, guys. That I'm asking that question because we're getting people asking that on the chat and now they're saying, well, of course, Americans are helping covering the whole thing up. Let's go down another different path. Kevin, you have a couple more questions. Let's go to another subject that we want to broach and see what information we can get. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yes. Did you have any difficulty getting in touch with the mayor of Virginia, or did he agree right away?
So Marco Leal, my partner, and some of his associates managed to get the mayor to agree to an interview, but we had no idea what Mayor Vergi was going to say until we got there. We were in the dark about whether he believed the incident happened or didn't happen. And to our amazement, Mayor Vergi, who's the city mayor, he's not former, he's the current mayor, believed, based on the eyewitness testimony that he's heard for decades, that UFO crashed and live aliens were captured. And he admitted all of that on camera.
And to get the rest of that story, we have to watch the video, the documentary. Thanks. Let's not give away too much. Eric, I know you got a couple interesting questions. Let's jump over to you for a minute.
I'm going just a bit outside of the movie. How did you start doing movies about UFO, James?
Good question.
How much time do we have?
By the way, guys, we got about 15, 20 minutes left. So you got 30 seconds.
I had a friend that I went to high school with. This is but this is a very influential aspect of what drove me to do this. I had a friend of mine back in probably 92, 93, start telling me about the UFO crash in Roswell, Brazil. Sorry, Roswell, got the Roswell of Brazil. Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. And I started thinking that my friend had sort of lost his mind. And I guess some of this information was coming out in the early 90s. And so I went to a very dear friend of mine, someone that I was working in video production with in California, someone who I looked up to. And I said, I mentioned casually that a very good high school friend of mine had believed that a flying saucer crashed in New Mexico in 1947. And I just said, it's unfortunate, but I'm going to have to probably terminate my friendship because he's lost his marbles. And then he said, this guy, Richard Van, oh, you didn't hear about that? You didn't know about Roswell? I said, well, no, how am I supposed to know about Roswell? And so that kind of, I thought, well, this is someone I truly respected and looked up to. So I started looking into this story. I went to a few conferences, I met a few military guys, and I decided to make a documentary about the phenomenon, thinking that I was going to just learn that we had periodic visitation and that for whatever reasons the governments are covering this up, and then I would move on to other things. And then here I am, almost 30 years later, 6 films, 5.5 films, and I feel like I'm no closer to the truth today than I was then.
James, we all feel the same way. All of us as investigators, and all the cover-up that's happening. And although it's slowly, like there's been a lot of changes in the UFO phenomenon. I mean, them releasing Tic Tac, Go Fast, and Gimbal and all that. At least they're starting to test the waters. And of course, the document 2 years ago where they admitted they have a craft not from this earth in their possession. Don't know what craft, don't know where, but that made New York Times front page. And on top of that, was there a world panic as they thought there would be in the 50s when they started talking about Roswell and stuff? No. There's been no world panic. So anyways, I'm going to jump over to Fernanda right now, and I know she's got a couple things on her mind she wants to ask, so go ahead.
Thank you, Dave. So yeah, I would like to ask Pacatini. You saw 35 seconds video, right?
Right.
There's some more videos, like a 30 minutes videos, 12 minutes videos, and not just in Varginha, but some in Rio, some in other places. Is that correct?
Well, we know that some pictures and videos went to other places, to other cities, because people were scared to keep it in South Minas Gerais state. So they are, because not only from Regional Hospital, Humanitas Hospital, and Campinas University, Unicamp, okay, São Paulo state, there are pictures and videos taken from there. But people got scared and, sent some copies or even the originals to someplace else. Okay, because they were afraid the militaries could invade their homes, their workplaces, to confiscate this material and open a court process against these people. So it was kind of spread out at that time, and it is even today. Okay, so it's not only this 35 seconds video here that I had the chance to watch. I watched it for 5 times. Okay, I'm telling you, this is not from this planet. Definitely. Okay. If somebody can prove the opposite, I'm here to listen. The thesis, but it's not from our planet, definitely.
Pacatini,
yes, James.
Did you have the impression that your friend intended in the future to release the footage that he has of the creature?
Okay. Excellent question, and Fernanda. Excellent questions, everybody. He didn't want to be part of this. Okay. Today, he has a lot of stars right here on his shoulders. He has a family. He has his whole career. And he told me, I'm not going to keep this video. I don't even want a copy of it. He returned the video to the others who effectively shot it. He told me in his words, very Minas Gerais accent, okay? I don't want to keep it with me. I'm showing you as a friend, and my mission is complete. I helped you in 1996 with many informations, and that's right, he really did. And now, years later, I'm giving you the chance to watch what you have been looking for. My mission is complete. I don't want to have a copy of this. I will return this material to other military people. I know who they are, okay? And they will decide in the future if they want to bring it to the public or not. So we will carry on with our lives, okay? Be happy. Don't look for me, okay? Don't call me. If we need to have another meeting, I'll send a messenger personally, as I did this time. And I respect this a lot, okay? I know people can get in trouble. I've been in trouble, okay? I was invited for interrogation inside ESA. It was 4 hours of interrogation because they wanted to know who was helping me and put them in jail for treason. Because in my book, when I sat down to be interrogated inside ESA in 1996, okay, there was a colonel in my book, okay, all over my book with those yellow page markers. It was all marked in yellow, many places. And he, for 4 hours, he was there. Well, you mentioned this point here in your book that a convoy went to Varginha, to Humanitas Hospital. Who told you that? How do you know the creature was there in this wood box? And everything I said, and my lawyer was right beside me, is I have the right to be in silence. I'm not going to give you this information or any other, but he insisted. He asked me for many times a lot of questions. I didn't answer anything, okay? So a lot of people in the military, but I'm civilian. A lot of people in the military service, they know if they are invited, okay, for a military inquiry, they are in trouble. And a lot of trouble. So we don't have ways to confirm that the military sources will bring this evidence one day to the public. I hope so. But there's nothing more I can do.
No, there's
okay?
not. That's why we're all waiting for disclosure. So, all right.
Well, I hope.
I hope too. So I'm going to move on. We got time for a couple more questions from our panel and stuff. So I'm going to invite Kevin to, sorry, I'm just checking the time. I'm going to invite Kevin to ask another question of the group. We only have 10 minutes left.
The mother of one witnesses, Luisa, was intimidated by two non-Brazilian men who vanished when she threatened to call the police. Do you think they could be Men in Black, Paccaccini or James?
James, that was part of the documentary, so can you answer?
Sure. So I have, dating back to my first production back in the 90s, mid-90s, I'd heard about these elusive characters from some unknown government agency in dark suits. But it sounded so outrageous. It sounded so cliche, you know. I don't know. I just avoided the on-camera testimony that I'd gotten for decades. But when I got to Brazil and I met with Luisa, the mother of the two girls, Valkyria and Liliani, and obviously there was Katya as well, I believed her. I just believed. Not only did I believe her, but I'd heard it enough times where I thought, okay, well, I'm not going to avoid it. I'm not going to delete this aspect of the story from the film. Screw it. I might get laughed at, but I'm going to leave it in. and I left her testimony in about these Men in Black characters, and I left, Carlos's story about it. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, James, you're absolutely right. Because my friend Kevin, Eric, Fernanda, and Dave, the day after this visit, it was 3 guys, okay? Very strange looking. They were not Brazilian and very white and tall. 2 of them had this red hair, okay? It was 3 of them, but only one spoke at that night. It was at nighttime when they visit Luisa home, and Liliane and Valkyria were there too. Katja is a friend. Katja used to live in another place in her house. So the day after, I went there and I got to know the whole story. I was the one. Here is the press conference. I took them with me so they could tell the story, okay, about what had just happened in this press conference.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that. I believe Luisa and the girls, okay, these guys came from out of the blue, okay, very strange people. Only one talked, the other 2 were quiet, but they definitely are not Brazilians. The one who talked in Portuguese had an accent, a weird accent, and they offered a lot of money for them to be quiet.
Wow.
And to go someplace else, record a video denying everything. So for me, as James and Fernanda knows, I understand that some secret agency, not exactly a government agency, we call it Men in Black, went there to try to bribe them and to put a silence, okay, in the whole story, but they didn't succeed. And I'm very proud of Luisa, Liliane, Katja, and Valkyria.
Yep.
Yeah, these people, men